They agreed on two end goals. The first, the emergence of two viable states, Israel and Palestine, each the homeland of its people, coexisting in a peaceful and cooperative manner to promote general economic well-being. And secondly, two peoples enjoying human dignity, security, and freedom, between whom trust has been painstakingly rebuilt.
To the young men and women who are behind drafting this joint message, I'm here to tell you we hear you loud and clear. The issue for us is to find a way in which this message can be promoted, advanced, and implemented. What we need for our part, and I'm speaking here for the Palestinians, is a sense, and Israelis alike, of course, a sense of possibility, if not sense of certainty, that that which is included in this message, from the points of departure to the end goals, prerequisites for success, and so on, sense of possibility that these things can actually be achieved. What we Palestinians need to have in connection with this sense of possibility is to feel confident that end of the day we are going to be left alone. That's what we actually really want. We want to be left alone. We want the occupation to come to an end. We want to be able to live as free people in an independent state of our own, totally respectful of the rights and sensitivities of all of our neighbors, including, of course, Israel. Now, that, of course, depends greatly on what we do to get from here to there. But it is not independent of what is within Israel's capacity to do and what its actions are. And I think these two things have to be seen together as a package. Now, with respect to the reform, it's not that we actually agree to the reform. We need it, we demand it, we view it first and foremost as a Palestinian demand. And it's our obligation as officials of the government to go out and to do the very best job we can to provide our people the best system of governance that we can put together. Indeed, the kind of system that I firmly believe our people deserve to have. The various reforms that we introduced in the financial sphere are actually consistent with this principle, opening up the system to full and public viewing, attaining maximum transparency, opening it and providing maximum scope for accountability are all key elements of our reform program. And the various components of that reform effort in the financial sphere do all target the attainment of these objectives, all of which, as they are phased in and implemented, should contribute to creating the kind of governance structure that we all aspire to attain, and which, once again, I firmly believe our people deserve to have.
In another 4 days, Israel is going to vote its next government, the next policies. And unfortunately, my feelings are that we are going to vote about the nature of the conflict instead of the nature of the solution. And the result will be more affected by the depth of the conflict than by a more optimistic approach of the solution. I ask myself why. It's a strange situation, because when it comes to the solution, most of the Israelis, in my judgment, tend to accept the labor solution. But when it comes to the partner, most of the Israelis are convinced that we don't have a proper partner. And for that reason, we have to stand together and fight and this and that. And the problem is, do we have a proper partner? This is the greatest problem we are facing today. I believe there is a possibility to have a partner. I'm referring to the Palestinian autonomy. If the Palestinian autonomy will accept what was suggested to them by the quartet, namely United States, United Europe, Russia, United Nations, by 3 Arab countries, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, by many Palestinians. And I don't think it is our task to elect the Palestinian leaders, or it is our permission to decide the Palestinians what to do, nothing whatsoever. But we would like to see a responsible government on the Palestinian side, referring to 2 or 3 things. One, to have a financial system which is open and accepted. And I think that Mr. Fayyad is beginning to do a good job under very difficult conditions. Not less, maybe even more important, is to have a single armed force among the Palestinians. The minute the Palestinians have more than one force, but several forces, all of them armed, without a chief of staff, without discipline, that what hurts the Palestinian position more than everything else in the eyes of the Americans and the Europeans. Because the Palestinian Autonomy can take every decision they like, but it's not being implemented. So unless they will establish a single command over all arms and arms carriers, the Palestinians will be in troubles not only vis-à-vis Israel, but very much vis-à-vis themselves.
Yeah.
If you do that, actually we can see them. Yeah.
I'm dismayed by the situation. I don't want to intervene in this election. But after this election, and no matter if the next month, if there will be an Iraqi operation next month, and if it won't, we need leadership that will move forward according to the criteria that we put forward, because they are the only viable to make a solution.
Occupation is the root of all evil. Occupation is illegal and it is immoral. Occupation began in 1967, and maybe now we have the fashion to talk about accountability and unfortunately suicide bombing and so on, but I think we should get back to the basics.
Have, after the elections, a government that can rule for your own sake, not for us. And I'm telling you, knowing the Israeli situation perfectly well, once this will happen, we shall be out. And about the settlements, there is a solution to it as too. The demand of the Labour Party in these elections is that we shall go out completely from Gaza, take out our settlements from there, let the Palestinians run their life without our presence.
Let's not kid ourselves. We have problems, like many developing countries with management. Indeed, like some advanced countries struggle to reform their management and all. But to say that underlying the continuation of occupation is an environment of less than adequate or perfect governance environment or financial impropriety is, I think, engaging in delusion, and we would not really be addressing the issue head on. I have to really come back to this point repeatedly, because for us, I mean, as we look at this issue and as we seek to bridge this divide and credibility gap, if you will, that separates us, it is important, very important, for us to get a sense of possibility, and I repeat, sense of possibility that one day, we will be left alone to live as free people, and that's what we really want. Governing ourselves better, it's a matter that is totally internal, as far as I'm concerned. Leadership issues, form of government, all of these are issues that should be settled and are settled by the Palestinian people.
I think the underlying reality of conflict is always that people necessarily perceive the underlying realities in different ways. That's why there's a conflict. If people perceive the underlying realities in the same way, there would be no conflict. There would be an accommodation, there would be a negotiation, there would be reason. It is precisely because people do not experience reality in the same way that there is conflict. And that is the challenge that one faces in all conflicts. I'd leave one thought with you in conclusion, and I owe it to a friend that I hadn't seen for a while who mentioned it in a completely different context yesterday afternoon. He cited Gramsci. It's an unusual name to throw into the middle of this audience, but he cited Gronsky. And he said simply, I may be a pessimist on the basis of my reason, but I am an optimist on the basis of my will. And I suggest that is the spirit that you bring to the solution of this conflict. Will it and make it happen.
Thank you.